The mower industry has been quietly taking money out of your pocket for decades, and you never even felt it happen. Every season, millions of American homeowners walk into a dealership, walk straight past the most capable zero-turn mowers on that floor, and write big checks for brand names built entirely on logo recognition, while harder-built, better-engineered machines sit right beside them, completely underrated, criminally underpriced, and totally invisible to the people who need them most. Nobody talks about those mowers. The industry spends a fortune making absolutely sure of it. I've spent years doing the work the showroom floor refuses to do for you, tearing apart real specifications, going deep on the zero-turn mowers that the famous names have buried under decades of marketing money. And what I've found covers which zero-turn mowers the industry hopes you never discover, why they deliver more real value than the household names, and how knowing this will permanently change the way you buy equipment from this day forward. Let's get started. Starting off with the 2020 Spartan RZ Pro, the mower most buyers walk right past while staring at bigger-name brands, completely missing one of the best value zero-turn machines on the market that quietly delivers more performance, more durability, and more mower for the money. Let me tell you who built this thing. Corey Foster sketched the very first Spartan mower on a napkin at his kitchen table in Batesville, Arkansas, built the first prototype in his own garage, and launched the brand in October 2015. Within just a few years, it became the fastest-growing zero-turn brand in America. Toro bought the entire company in 2022 for $400 million. But walk up to most homeowners right now and ask them about Spartan. They will stare at you completely blank. A $400 million brand that the average buyer has never heard of. You want a definition of underrated? There it is. Now, here is where the RZ Pro starts making bigger name brands nervous. Spartan did not build this thing to feel like a lightweight residential mower pretending to be commercial grade. They built it heavy, planted, and overbuilt from the frame up. You get 3 serious engine options, including Kawasaki power plants trusted across the commercial mowing world, paired with either a 54-inch or 61-inch fabricated 7-gauge steel deck, the same kind of deck thickness normally reserved for machines costing thousands more. And once you drive it, you understand where the money actually went. The Tough Torque 450 transmission with serviceable internals gives the RZ Pro the kind of long-term durability most residential mowers never even attempt, while the 22-inch Carlisle Turf Armor tires and Spartan's GT track system keep the machine surprisingly confident on uneven ground and hillsides where cheaper zero-turns start fighting for grip. Top speed reaches 8 miles per hour forward, cutting height ranges from 1.5 to 5 inches, and the entire machine rides on a fusion-welded 11-gauge tubular steel frame that feels substantially more solid than most competitors in this price range. Even the seat gets attention. Full 360-degree adjustment with an integrated shock absorber that takes a noticeable amount of punishment out of rough mowing sessions. The price when new sat right around $4,500. Used units today run between $4,500 and $5,500. Compare that to a Deere or Husqvarna handing you a stamped deck and a lighter frame at the same or higher price, and tell me that is not shocking. Now the honest part, Spartan's dealer network is genuinely thin in certain states, and if something goes wrong, finding a nearby service center can be a real headache. The Tough Torque 450 handles flat to moderately rolling terrain beautifully. But if you are punishing steep slopes every single day, step up to the RZ HD or higher in the Spartan lineup. That is the right call. For a homeowner who wants commercial steel, real horsepower, and a real comfort system for under $5,000, the 2020 Spartan RZ Pro is the most slept-on zero-turn in America. There is a zero-turn mower sitting in dealerships right now that most homeowners walk straight past every single time. Not because it is bad, because the brands with the biggest advertising budgets spent decades training you to look the other way. The Ferris ISX 800. And the moment I show you what this machine actually does, you are going to be genuinely angry nobody told you sooner. This is not a mower built for commercials. The Ferris ISX 800 was engineered by a company with over 30 years of real innovation that focused more on ride quality, durability, and what the operator feels in the seat than chasing attention with flashy marketing. Ferris Industries was born in Munnsville, New York in 1992. The founders did something no one in this entire industry had ever done before. They bolted a full suspension system onto a zero-turn mower. That was not a gimmick. That was a patent-protected engineering revolution. While every other brand was still slapping rigid frames together and calling it premium, Ferris was filing patents and rewriting what a residential mower could actually feel like to operate. Briggs & Stratton eventually acquired the company, which only deepened the engineering muscle behind every machine they build. Now the ISX 800 itself. Under the hood sits a Briggs & Stratton Professional Series engine pushing 25 horsepower. Deck choices come in 52-inch or 61-inch fabricated steel, not stamped, fabricated, built to the same tolerances as commercial machines costing thousands more. Ground speed reaches 10 miles per hour forward. The fuel tank holds 5 gallons. The machine weighs in around 900 pounds, and that weight is not a flaw. It is what a properly built frame actually feels like. But here is the feature that changes absolutely everything. The IS independent suspension system. Ferris holds the patent on it. Every root, every rut, every jarring bump that would rattle your spine loose on a rigid frame machine gets absorbed before it ever reaches the seat. Your body stops taking the punishment. Your yard gets cut at full speed because you are in complete control instead of just hanging on. That one feature alone is why professional landscapers put this machine on properties that would destroy anything else in its price class. Price runs right around $5,999 to $6,499 new, depending on deck size. Compare that to John Deere or Husqvarna asking the same money for a stamped deck, a rigid frame, and zero suspension, and the value argument writes itself without you even having to try. Here is the honest part. That price is higher than basic residential competitors, and if your budget is tight, it will feel it. The dealer network is solid in most regions, but thinner in rural areas where service distance becomes a real consideration. Most people buying a zero-turn mower this year will spend $4,000 to $6,000 on a brand name they recognize and drive home feeling smart. They will never once stop to look at the machine that commercial landscaping crews have trusted for over 5 decades, the Bobcat CRZ. And that gap right there, between what professionals know and what homeowners believe, is exactly why this is the most underrated zero-turn mower in America. Here is the part that should genuinely bother you. Bobcat did not start out making residential mowers. They built professional-grade cutting equipment, the kind that gets loaded onto trailers every single morning by people who get paid to cut grass fast and cut it clean, day after day, on property after property, in every kind of weather. That is the DNA this brand carries. And when Bobcat brought that same engineering into a residential machine, the consumer market never even noticed. That is not a marketing problem. That is a flat-out crime against every homeowner who keeps overpaying for a lighter, thinner, softer machine from a brand that spent its whole life on a showroom floor instead of a job site. Now the CRZ itself. Engine options give you a Kawasaki FR651 at 21.5 horsepower or the Kawasaki FR730 pushing 24 horsepower, the exact same engine family that powers commercial equipment running 40-hour weeks. Deck choices run from 42 inches up to 52 inches of fabricated steel. And I need you to hear that word, fabricated. Not stamped, not pressed into shape and painted over. Fabricated steel, built to hold its geometry cut after cut, year after year, the way a commercial deck absolutely has to. Ground speed runs up to 7 miles per hour. The frame is a welded steel unit with a low center of gravity that gives you real confidence on uneven terrain where lightweight residential mowers start feeling nervous underneath you. The operator station is where this machine whispers its whole secret to you. The seat, the control layout, the lap bar ergonomics, all of it was engineered for someone spending 8 hours a day in this seat. When Bobcat carried that thinking into the CRZ, a homeowner putting in 2 hours on a Saturday morning gets a level of comfort and control that brands designed purely for the residential market have simply not figured out how to replicate. Price lands right around $3,500 to $4,500 depending on deck size and engine choice. For a Kawasaki engine, a fabricated deck, and a frame built to commercial tolerances, that number should make your jaw drop a little. Now the honest part, Bobcat has a strong dealer presence in commercial mowing markets, but residential support can be thinner in some suburban areas, so if your nearest dealer is far away, that is something worth considering before you buy. Top speed reaches 7 miles per hour, perfectly capable, but still behind some competitors pushing 8 to 10. And because Bobcat focuses heavily on commercial equipment, the dealership experience may feel more contractor-oriented than the polished residential experience some homeowners are used to. What if I told you there is a zero-turn mower sitting in a dealership right now, built in the exact same factory as one of the most respected commercial mowing brands in America, and almost nobody in the residential market knows it exists, the Big Dog Alpha MP. And the fact that you have probably never heard that name, that right there is the most shocking part of this entire story. Here is what the industry quietly keeps to itself. Big Dog Mowers is owned by Excel Industries out of Heston, Kansas. That same Excel Industries also owns and manufactures Hustler Turf Equipment, a commercial mowing brand that professional landscapers load onto their trailers every single morning because they know it will not fail them mid-job. Same parent company, same facility, same engineering culture, same hands building both machines. Big Dog is not a budget brand pretending to be something it is not. It is Hustler's residential sibling, built under the same roof and sold at a fraction of the recognition. Now let me tell you what is actually under you when you climb on this thing. You pick your engine, either the Kawasaki FR691 at 21.5 horsepower or the Kawasaki FR730 pushing a full 24 horsepower. And before you glaze over at those numbers, understand something. That is not a residential engine dressed up in a pretty shroud. That is the same Kawasaki family that runs on commercial equipment getting hammered 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, by people whose livelihood depends on it not dying. The deck comes in 48 inches or 54 inches, and it is fabricated steel. And I need you to feel the difference between that word and stamped. Stamped is pressed out of thin sheet metal and painted to look tough. Fabricated is cut, shaped, and welded by people who actually understand structural load. Hustler has been building commercial machines for 60 years. They know exactly what that deck needs to survive, and they put that same standard into the Alpha MP without apology. Hydrogear ZT transaxles push this machine up to 8 miles per hour forward. The frame is heavy-gauge welded steel carrying 6 decades of manufacturing knowledge in every single joint. And then you sit down. That is where everything gets real. The controls fall exactly where your hands land without thinking. The seat holds you for hours, not minutes. Here is the honest part. Big Dog's dealer network is not as wide as the major consumer brands, and in certain areas, locating an authorized service center requires real planning. You've been scrolling Mower reviews for weeks, bouncing the same brand names around every conversation, and the whole time there has been a machine sitting quietly in a dealer showroom with over 100 years of American manufacturing behind it that almost nobody is discussing. The Simplicity Courier SZT 350. And the silence around this mower is honestly one of the most baffling things happening in outdoor power equipment right now. Here is the brand story, and it matters more than anything else I'm going to say. Simplicity Manufacturing was founded in 1922 in Port Washington, Wisconsin. They did not start out making lawn mowers. They built heavy farm equipment for people whose entire livelihoods depended on machines that could not fail them. That industrial-grade DNA never left. Briggs & Stratton eventually brought simplicity into its family, placing it inside the same engineering umbrella that backs Ferris and Snapper, brands that professionals and commercial operators trust with their income every single day. Now the Courier SZT350 itself, a Briggs & Stratton Professional Series engine pushing 23 horsepower, sits under that hood, the same BS engine family powering professional equipment in applications far more demanding than your backyard. Reinforced steel deck construction, hydro gear transaxles, and ground speed running up to 7 miles per hour forward. The operator station is built for real extended use. High back seat, padded armrests, intuitive lap bar placement, designed by people who actually put serious hours on this machine before it ever left the factory floor. The cutting system carries over 100 years of Simplicity's deck geometry refinement, delivering clean and consistent results across varying grass conditions that brands without that depth of history simply have not had enough time to perfect. Price lands right around $3,000 to $3,800 depending on your configuration. For a BS professional engine, hydro gear drive, reinforced deck, and a full century of American manufacturing knowledge inside every single weld, that number should stop you mid-scroll and make you question every other machine you have been considering. Here is the honest part, because that is what this channel is built on. Simplicity's dealer presence is solid through the Midwest, but noticeably thinner in coastal and certain rural markets. If you are not near a dealer, factor service distance into your decision before you buy. If you made it this far, you're already miles ahead of the homeowner walking into that dealership this weekend with nothing but a brand name in their head and a checkbook in their pocket. There are more of these mowers out there, and I'm nowhere near done exposing them. So hit subscribe right now and make sure you do not miss a single one. Drop a comment below and tell me which zero-turn mower you think deserves the next spotlight. I read every comment personally, and those suggestions shape exactly what gets made next on this channel. Hit the like button if this video saved you from writing a check you did not have to write, because it genuinely helps more people find this content before they make that expensive mistake. And if someone you know is about to buy a mower based on nothing but a logo and a commercial, share this with them right now. One click from you could save them thousands of dollars and years of regret. The next machine I am covering might be the most shocking one yet. I will see you there.